You're listening to Ask Dr. Jake. My name is Dr. Jake Tucker, owner and founder of Good Life Family Chiropractic here on the south side of Lincoln. And I'm coming to you today with another message of hope, health, and healing. And what I wanted to cover for you today is the top 4 ways to keep your immune system stronger than any bacteria or virus or any micro invader that you can think of that would want to attack you and destroy you from the inside out. Because here's the thing, God created us fearfully and wonderfully. We are powerful because of He who is in us. He who is in us is greater than he who is in the world. And that includes everything that He created. A virus or a bacteria or a cancer or heart disease or anything that you can think of is not as strong as God who created it. God who allowed it to be formed and developed out of the things that He created. I'm not blaming God for COVID. I'm not blaming God for heart disease, and I'm not blaming God for cancer. But here's what I know is that these diseases that we die from in the United States of America are 95% or more lifestyle preventable and lifestyle reversible. If you lifestyle your way into something, you can lifestyle your way out of it. These are God's laws and principles that He created. Remember, He is the creator. He is the ultimate creator. And if you need to lifestyle your way out, then let's start with what created it. And that always starts with an exam. If you've never had your nervous system evaluated by a chiropractor, then you haven't had your nervous system evaluated properly. And it starts with that exam. We're doing those at a 50% discount for radio and podcast listeners today. That's 531-289-7100. if you set up an appointment for this week. So call our office right now, 531-289-7100, and we'll be happy to set that up for you. But what this is based off of, this is based off an article that we have on our website called The Top 4 Ways to Keep Your to Strengthen Your Immune System. And so you can find this on goodlifefamilychiropractic.com/healthy-articles, and we'll be happy to take you through that. But here's number one. Number one thing that you need to do to keep your immune system healthy is avoid sugar. Avoid sugar. And you can do this exercise at home. For those of you that are homeschoolers, you may actually want to do this as a science experiment. But what I would do is I would do a little strength test. So I like to use the shoulder muscle. The shoulder muscle is pretty strong. Take the strongest person in the room and have them hold their arm up and resist as someone else who's also strong pulls down on their arm. And if it's a small enough person, you can actually have them hang from the arm, provided the other person's shoulder is good enough. And they should be able to hold up to that. So do that, get your baseline, nothing in their mouth, nothing that they've done recently to tire them out. They should be at their strongest. Next, take a packet of sugar and put that in their mouth. Just under the tongue is fine. They don't have to swallow it. Just in their mouth is sufficient enough. And try the same thing again. Same amount of pressure, even less, try it. And watch as they get weaker. Sugar compromises the strength of every system in the body. And in fact, it directly attacks and suppresses your immune system, impairing your defenses against infectious disease. This is a major contributor to autoimmune diseases, including irritable bowel disease or irritable bowel syndrome or symptoms. And this is absolutely, it can contribute to hemorrhoids and varicose veins as well. It destroys the cardiovascular system. So you think about all these systems that we need in order to stay healthy. Sugar attacks those directly. And you look at the statistics on sugar consumption in the United States right now, and between high fructose corn syrup, which acts exactly the same as sugar, and sugar itself, glucose, you see the average American consumes over 260 pounds of sugar every single year. So you divide that out per day and you've got almost 2/3 pounds of sugar a day. And most of that is not coming because we're scooping it into our Wheaties or our Cheerios. This is coming because it's hidden in all of our foods, because it's very addictive. It's as addictive as cocaine or heroin. It lights up the same pleasure centers in our brain, and it tastes good. It tastes sweet. And just the way that we've developed epigenetically is such that we've come to recognize that things that taste sweet are inherently safe for us to consume and are a good food source. You think things like those sweet vegetables or sweet fruits. We know intuitively that those are good for us because they're sweet. But what we've done is we've artificially gone around that system that was safe when all we had was the creation that God had built up around us to sustain us and provide for us. And now we've got these artificially sweetened foods that aren't necessarily good for us, that have all sorts of chemical additives that are actually known carcinogens or likely carcinogens that actually undermine our health and compromise our immune system specifically. Number two, if your immune defenses get triggered, don't rely on cold medications. We see in the research, when you take a cold medication that suppresses a symptom of a cold or another infection, it actually lengthens. It lengthens the infection. It lengthens the duration of whatever you're dealing with, even while you feel better. This is another reason why we can't rely on how we feel in order to stay healthy. We have to do this. So I see this in my office all the time. Someone comes in, like, yeah, doc, I'm so stuffed up and all my allergies have been triggered. This weather change has been awful. Or all this smoke in the air, it's really got me stuffed up. And they're taking a decongestant. Well, guess what? The congestion there is part of your immune defenses against the invader. The mucus that's produced when, whether it's a virus or a bacteria or smoke in the air or just a dusty day, it's actually a good thing. Your body needs that in order to keep the bad stuff out of your lungs and out of your bloodstream. It keeps that there. Then you want to spit it out, you cough it out, and it's a fantastic defense line. Coughing, we don't want to suppress coughing because coughing actually gets the bad stuff out so the body can replenish with the good stuff. If you've got a bad bacteria infection, it's not good bacteria that's in there, it's bad bacteria. Your body will actually raise your temperature. It'll actually create a cough if it's in your lungs to try to push it out. And by coughing, it clears the lungs of those bad bacteria and actually allows for good bacteria to start to replenish and reflourish in that environment. If you're not actually getting good bacteria in your diet or in your lifestyle, then it's just bad bacteria that flourish in that process. And so don't do what so many of us have been trained to do just by our culture and the way that our parents raised us. Don't suppress those symptoms. Build your immune system. Number 3 thing that you can do to keep your immune system high is learn how to de-stress naturally. Stress is one of the biggest contributors to a suppressed immune system. And we live in more stress now than any other time in the course of history. When I talk about having a re-exam with a patient in my office, which we do every 12 visits, we're making sure, not just on the table as we're doing treatment, but every 12 visits we stop, we do a new neurological scan, we make sure that we're measuring improvement exam to exam. Even though we're checking visit to visit, we're taking some time out from the care to make sure that every patient's getting better. One of the biggest reasons I see that people are not getting better or not getting better as fast as they would like is their stress levels. And right now with COVID happening and all the quarantining and isolation that is being forced upon us by the government, we are under no more stress than we've ever been. People are losing their jobs left and right. And even though that there's a little bit of a stimulus happening with extra unemployment checks coming through, it's still a time of uncertainty. We don't know what we're going to do with our kids for school. We don't know when they're going to be sent home, and we have to work at the same time as homeschooling. And it's just a mess. We have to focus on what we can control. If you focus on what you can control and you intervene in those things, you find that the things that you can't control, especially when you are prepared for those, preparing around the things that you can't control with the things that you can, it just decreases the stress. Another thing that brings the stress levels down that's huge is a chiropractic adjustment. When your stress levels go up, your nervous system becomes compromised and it actually creates buckling in the spine, that the joints of the spine stop working because of the stress. You just think about the stress posture. Shoulders come up, head comes down, the muscles across the shoulders get locked up. And every single time I see between the shoulders subluxation building up that compromises the ability of your brain to communicate with the organs, cells, and tissues below. And so make sure you're getting that chiropractic adjustment. And then the number four thing that you can do to keep your immune system strong is to get regular exercise. Not only is this a great de-stressor, but actually exercising provides the oxygen that you need in order to provide your immune system everything that it needs in order to do what it's required to do. It brings oxygen to every organ, cell, and tissue in the body. Every organ, cell, and tissue in your body require oxygen. And so if you're not getting exercise on a regular basis, and I would say no less than 3 days a week. Now, one of those days could be mowing the lawn. Another day could be a 30-minute walk. Another day could be a high-intensity interval training. But the more exercise you get, up to about 6 days a week, is good for you. It's only going to be helpful, provided you're not actually creating a pain response. If you're creating a pain response, that's not just the pain that you feel, 24 hours after you exercise, or the pain of discomfort of trying a new thing, but the actual pain that says, ouch. So long as you're not doing that, exercise can only be helpful, provided you're not pushing yourself more than 6 days a week. So those are the top 4 things that you can do to keep your immune system high. One of the things that people miss out on just because it's not out there, an incredible study done by Dr. Perro in the 1980s at the University of Stockholm, is he took a look at people's immune system response to a chiropractic adjustment. And what they found is that 3 groups of people. Number 1 was the control group. They got no adjustments. They were healthy individuals, and they just measured their immune system over the same course that they were doing chiropractic adjustments on 2 other groups. The first group after the control group was a group of immune compromised individuals. And to a man, they measured out an average response that was 400% greater than the immune response of the control group. And then they looked at another group of healthy individuals, people that didn't have an immune compromised immune system. And what they found is that after an adjustment, they were just doing thoracic adjustment, is this group had an almost 200% greater immune response following that chiropractic adjustment. And these responses lasted hours. And we see this in the office all the time. And I see this every single day. Someone walks into the office and they've got headaches, or they've got congestion, or they're running a fever, or they're just feeling laggy. They get adjusted, and I tell them their power is on, and they feel their power is on, because what we're doing is we're removing interference from their central nervous system that controls the immune response. And when it is compromised, it needs that extra boost, and it's not boosting the immune system, it's restoring it to its natural state. God created you to be healthy. And if you want to be healthy, I suggest that you pick up the phone and you text us right now, 531-289-7100. You can also visit us online at goodlifefamilychiropractic.com. You can visit our national page. If you're listening on the podcast and you're not here local to Lincoln, Nebraska, you can visit us at maxliving.com and you can find the closest clinic to you. But if you're not under Max Living Care, get under Max Living Care. That's the number one thing I can tell you, because we do these things that I'm teaching you every single day in our clinic. You've been listening to Ask Dr. Jake. I hope you join me again tomorrow for another episode of Ask Dr. Jake.